Ghost Squadron, take out their engines, Steve ordered. Wolf Pack, target their weapon systems. Stormwing, you're with me on the command ships. The aliens tried to defend themselves, but their own ships were attacking them. Their communications were jammed. Their weapons were firing at random targets. Their carefully organized battle formation collapsed into chaos. Jenny Clark flew her fighter through the middle of the alien fleet, destroying targets that were lit up by Tony's hacking. Every shot hit exactly where it needed to for maximum effect. "This is Ghost Leader," she announced over the radio. "Their flagship is dead in the water, moving in for the kill shot." But Jake Morrison had other plans for the flagship. "Negative. Ghost Leader," came his voice over the comm. "I want that ship intact. We're going to need it for Phase 2. Phase 2 was something no one had expected, not even the Resistance leadership. Humans were not just fighting to liberate Earth anymore. They were preparing to carry their war to the enemy's home worlds. Dr. Sarah Williams had spent months studying captured alien technology and biology. Her discoveries had revolutionized human understanding of the galaxy. "They're not the advanced species they pretend to be," she had explained to the War Council. "They're bullies who pick on weaker civilizations. But when they face real opposition, they fall apart." Her research had revealed something shocking about the Zeltharian Empire. They had conquered 17 worlds, but they ruled through fear rather than strength. Their military was designed to overwhelm primitive species, not fight equals. Humans had become their equals in 18 months. Now they were becoming something more. The space battle ended with complete human victory. Of the 300 alien ships that had attacked Earth, only 12 escaped. The rest were either destroyed or captured. War Commander Zik Stala found himself a prisoner aboard his own flagship, which was now under human control. "I don't understand," he told Jake Morrison during their first meeting. "Your species was defeated. You surrendered. How did you become so powerful so quickly?" Jake looked at the alien commander with something that might have been pity. "You never understood what you were fighting," Jake said. "You saw our armies lose and thought we were beaten. But humans don't quit when we lose a battle. We learn from it. We adapt. We come back stronger." He gestured toward the window, where Earth hung blue and beautiful in space. "You gave us time to figure out how to beat you. That was your mistake." On Earth's surface, the liberation was complete. Alien soldiers surrendered by the thousands. Their equipment was captured intact. Their bases became human research facilities. But the most important capture was their communication technology. Dr. Richard Stone had reverse-engineered their faster-than-light systems and improved them beyond anything the aliens had ever built. "We can now communicate with any point in the galaxy instantly," Richard explained to the assembled human leadership. "More importantly, we can listen to communications between all alien worlds." What they heard changed everything. The Zeltharian Empire was not just facing rebellion on Earth. The human example had inspired uprisings on 7 other conquered worlds. Species that had accepted defeat decades ago were suddenly fighting back. "They're falling apart," Ben Parker reported after analyzing intercepted alien communications. "Their whole empire was built on the idea that conquest meant permanent control. But we've proven that's not true." Colonel Alex Murphy had an even more dramatic report. "Sir, we are receiving messages from other species asking for help. They want to know how we defeated the Zeltharians. They want to learn our tactics." Danny Walsh looked around the command center at his fellow humans. 2 years ago, they had been desperate survivors hiding in sewers and caves. Now they were the leaders of a galactic rebellion. "What's our next move?" Lisa Hayes asked. Danny smiled. "We keep our promise." He activated the communication system that could reach every corner of the galaxy. His voice would be heard on hundreds of worlds, by dozens of species, including the Zeltharian home world itself. To the Zeltharian Empire, Annie began, you came to Earth, thinking you'd found another easy conquest. You declared us defeated before you understood what you were fighting. You were wrong. On distant worlds, both alien and human listeners stopped what they were doing to hear his words. We're not just another species you can conquer and forget. We're humans. We adapt. We learn. We survive. And we never, ever give up. The message was being recorded and transmitted across the galaxy. Future historians would mark this as the moment when humanity announced itself to the universe. You taught us how to build starships by leaving your wrecks in our solar system. You taught us how to fight in space by attacking our home. You taught us how to hack your technology by underestimating our intelligence. Danny paused, and across the galaxy, beings of dozens of species waited for his next words. Now we're going to teach you something. We're going to teach you what happens when you pick a fight with the wrong species. The transmission included detailed technical information, how to build sonic weapons, how to hack Zeltharian communications, how to coordinate resistance operations. Every enslaved species in the galaxy suddenly had the tools they needed to fight back. But the most important part of the message came at the end. To every world under Zeltharian occupation, to every species that has been conquered and enslaved, you are not alone. Earth stands with you. Humanity stands with you. Together, we will drive these invaders from our galaxy. Their response was immediate and overwhelming. Within hours, human ships were receiving messages from dozens of worlds asking for help, offering alliance, sharing intelligence. Dr. Helen Carter had solved the problem of interstellar travel using captured alien technology. Human ships could now cross the galaxy in weeks instead of centuries. We can have fleets at 12 different systems within a month, she reported. The aliens won't be able to respond to simultaneous uprisings across their entire empire. Captain Steve Morrison was already preparing the first Liberation Fleet. His ships were crewed by volunteers from across Earth, former soldiers, civilians, even teenagers who wanted to carry the fight to the enemy. We're not just defending our world anymore, he told his captains. We're liberating the galaxy. The war that had started with Earth's apparent defeat was ending with the collapse of an entire empire. But more importantly, it was beginning something new, an age when humanity would be known across the galaxy as the species that never gave up, never backed down, and never left anyone behind. War Commander Zix Thala sat in his prison cell and tried to understand what had happened. His empire had ruled the galaxy for centuries. They had conquered every species they encountered. They had never faced defeat, but humans were different. They didn't accept defeat. They learned from it. They used it to become stronger. Through his cell window, he could see human ships preparing to leave Earth. They were carrying weapons, supplies, and most dangerously, ideas. Ideas about freedom, resistance, and never giving up. The Zeltharian Empire was doomed, and he finally understood why. They had awakened something that could not be conquered, the human spirit. On the bridge of the first Liberation ship, Captain Lisa Hayes looked out at the stars and smiled. 2 years ago, she had been a desperate soldier fighting a losing battle in the ruins of New York. Now she was leading humanity's first interstellar fleet to free other worlds. Navigation set course for the Kepler system, she ordered. There are 3 million Altarians there who need our help. Behind her, Earth grew smaller in the view screen, but the message they carried would echo across the galaxy for generations. When humans said they were just getting started, they meant it. The age of human expansion had begun, and nothing would ever be the same. Very weak, we control more airspace. The first test destroyed an alien mining complex in Nevada. The blast was so powerful that it created a new lake where the complex used to stand. War Commander Zixthala watched the explosion from his new command center and felt something he had never experienced before. True fear. His empire was falling apart. Half his forces were lost or missing. His flagship was destroyed. His supply lines were cut. His communications were compromised. Worse, his own government was beginning to doubt him. Reports from other conquered worlds showed similar problems. The human resistance was somehow inspiring other species to rebel. "Sir, we're receiving messages from the home worlds," his aide reported nervously. Zixthala read the messages with growing dread. The Empire was pulling forces from Earth to deal with rebellions elsewhere. He was being abandoned, but the humans were not content to simply defend Earth. They had learned to think like conquerors themselves. Ben, Parker's spy network, had identified every alien base in the solar system. His agents had mapped their defenses, counted their soldiers, and learned their weaknesses. "We have enough information to plan a complete offensive," Ben reported to Danny Walsh. "We can hit every alien position simultaneously." The plan was called Operation Liberation. It would involve every human military unit, resistance cell, and civilian volunteer. The goal was simple: end the war in one massive coordinated attack. Dr. Sarah Williams had expanded her sonic weapons research. Her team had built devices that could disable aliens from miles away. Some were mounted on vehicles. Others were installed in buildings. A few were even put on satellites. "We can shut down their entire army with the push of a button," she told the planning committee. "Then our forces can move in and capture everything intact." Lisa Hayes had been promoted to general and now commanded all ground forces in North America. Her troops were no longer desperate survivors hiding in sewers. They were disciplined soldiers with alien-level equipment and superior tactics. "The key is coordination," she explained to her officers. "We hit every target at exactly the same time. They won't have time to react or call for help." Pete Collins and Amy Rodriguez had trained hundreds of new soldiers in urban warfare. These fighters knew every street, every building, every hiding place in their cities. "We're not just fighting for survival anymore," Pete told his trainees. "We're fighting to take our world back." The preparations took months. Weapons were distributed. Communications were tested. Every human settlement received detailed instructions. The aliens noticed increased human activity, but could not understand what it meant. Their intelligence was compromised by Tony's hacking. Their prisoners gave false information under interrogation. Their own communications were unreliable. On the day before Operation Liberation, Danny Walsh broadcast one final message to the alien forces. "Tomorrow, you will understand what humans really are," his voice said through their communication systems. "We're not just another species you can conquer and forget. We're the species that never gives up. We're the species that learns from every defeat and comes back stronger." He paused, and in that silence, alien commanders across Earth felt a chill of fear. "You declared Earth conquered 1 year ago," Annie continued. "Tomorrow, we declare your occupation over. Pack your bags. You're going home." War Commander Zixthala listened to the message and made a decision that would have been impossible a year earlier. He began preparing his forces for evacuation, but it was too late. The humans had learned too much, grown too strong, and planned too well. The storm that had been building for a year was about to break, and nothing would survive it unchanged. Jenny Clark sat in her fighter and looked at the stars. Tomorrow, she would either help liberate her world or die trying. But she was not afraid. Humans had discovered something about themselves during this war. They were not just another species struggling to survive. They were something unique in the galaxy, a people who became more dangerous when they were defeated, who learned faster when they were desperate, who fought harder when they had nothing left to lose. The aliens had made one fatal mistake. They had given humanity a reason to become everything they could be. Tomorrow, the galaxy would learn what that meant. 2 years after the failed conquest, Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the ESS Defiance and watched 3 Zelfarian battle fleets approach Earth. He had been presumed dead for 18 months, but he was very much alive and ready to finish what the aliens had started. "Sir, enemy forces are entering weapons range," reported his tactical officer, Commander Lisa Hayes. She had been promoted after leading the liberation of Chicago, and now served as his second-in-command. Jake looked at his fleet through the bridge. Windows. 50 human ships faced 300 alien vessels. By the old rules of warfare, this battle was already lost, but humans had learned to ignore the old rules. "All ships, this is Admiral Morrison," Jake announced over the fleet communication system. "Today, we end this war. Today, we show the galaxy what humans can do when we're pushed too far." The human ships did not look like the vessels that had fought 2 years ago. They were larger, faster, and deadlier. Most importantly, they were built using technology that the aliens had never seen before. A fusion of human creativity and alien science that created something entirely new. On the surface, Colonel Danny Walsh coordinated the final ground battle. From his command center, around him, walls of screens showed resistance operations across the globe. "All units report ready," announced Maria Gonzalez. Her hacking had evolved beyond simple communication disruption. She could now control alien ships, weapons, and even individual soldiers' equipment. "Tony, are you ready?" Danny asked. Tony Garrett smiled at his computer terminal. "Just say the word, Colonel. I can turn half their fleet against the other half." The breakthrough had come 6 months earlier when Tony learned to hack alien brain implants. Every Zelfarian soldier had technology in their head that connected them to their command network. Tony had found a way to send his own signals through that network. "Execute Phase 1, Danny ordered. Across Earth's surface, sonic weapons activated simultaneously. Every alien soldier on the planet suddenly found themselves unable to stand, think clearly, or operate their equipment. In seconds, the entire occupation force was helpless. But that was just the beginning. In space, the alien fleet commanders watched in horror as their own ships began turning weapons on each other. Maria had taken control of their navigation systems and was forcing them into friendly fire situations. "What's happening?" War Commander Zix Thala demanded from his flagship. His aide was frantically trying to regain control of their systems. "Sir, the humans have somehow infiltrated our entire network. Our ships are no longer responding to our commands." Zix Thala had faced many enemies in his long career, but never anything like this. The humans had turned his own technology into a weapon against him. Captain Steve Morrison led the human fighter attack with surgical precision. His pilots had trained for this moment for months. They knew exactly where to hit each alien ship to cause maximum damage with minimum effort. Month, they lose more ships. Her newest pilot was a teenager named Bobby Kim, who had built his own fighter from scrapped parts. He was only 17, but he flew like he had been born in the cockpit. "The aliens are changing their tactics," Bobby reported after his latest mission. "They're flying higher and faster. They're scared of us." Fear was spreading through the alien ranks like a disease. They had come to Earth expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they found an enemy that fought harder every day. Dr. Helen Carter had weaponized the sonic discovery. Her team had built larger devices that could disable multiple aliens at once. Some were small enough to carry in a backpack. Others were big enough to clear entire buildings. "We're ready for the next phase," she told Danny Walsh during a secure communication. "We can start taking back cities." Danny nodded. The time for small raids was ending. Soon they would begin the real war, the fight to liberate Earth completely. War Commander Zix Thala sat in his command center and tried to understand what was happening. His forces were losing battles they should have won easily. His soldiers were afraid to patrol alone. His supply lines were cut regularly. The humans were not fighting like any enemy he had faced before. They used tactics that seemed impossible. They appeared where they should not be. They knew things they should not know. And that voice, Danny Walsh, kept broadcasting messages that reached every alien base simultaneously. Each message was worse than the last. "You came here thinking Earth would be easy," the latest message said. "You thought we were just another weak species. But we're the species that survived ice ages and plagues and wars. We're the species that never gives up. And now you're going to learn what that really means." For the first time since arriving at Earth, Zixthala wondered if his empire had made a mistake. They had awakened something dangerous, something they did not understand, but it was too late to turn back now. The war for Earth was just beginning, and the humans were no longer running away. They were coming to fight. 1 year after the invasion, the war had changed completely. Colonel Alex Murphy stood on top of the Willis Tower in Chicago and looked down at the city below. 3 days ago, this city had been under alien control. Now, human flags flew from every building. "Sir, the last alien stronghold has surrendered," reported his aide, Lieutenant Nancy Brooks. She had been a school teacher before the war. Now she was one of his best tactical officers. Alex smiled. Chicago was the first major city to be completely liberated. It would not be the last dot. The victory had come from a new type of warfare that combined everything humans had learned. Sonic weapons disabled alien soldiers. Hacked communications sent false orders to enemy units. Captured alien technology gave human fighters equal firepower. But most importantly, humans fought with something the aliens did not understand. They fought for their home. "What are our casualties?" Alex asked. "Surprisingly light," Nancy replied. "The sonic weapons worked perfectly. We captured most of their soldiers alive instead of killing them." This was part of the new human strategy. Live prisoners provided intelligence. They also required alien resources to rescue or ransom. Every captured alien soldier was one less enemy, and one more burden on their force's dot in his hidden command. Center, Danny Walsh coordinated resistance operations across 6 continents. The communications breakthrough had changed everything. Now, human forces in Africa could support attacks in Asia. European resistance cells could share intelligence with American units. "Maria, show me the global situation," Danny said. Maria. Gonzalez brought up a holographic map that would have impressed alien technology. Human engineers had built it using captured alien projectors and human computer systems. The map showed Earth divided into zones. Red areas were still under alien control. Yellow zones were contested. Green areas belonged to humanity again. "We control about 40% of the planet's surface now," Maria reported. "The aliens hold 30%. The rest is battlefield." Danny studied the map carefully. "What about their reinforcements?" "That's where it gets interesting," Maria said with a grin. "Tony's hack worked better than we hoped." Tony Garrett had achieved something that should have been impossible. He had learned to control alien faster-than-light communications. More importantly, he had learned to corrupt them. When the Zelfarian Empire tried to send reinforcements to Earth, their messages were scrambled. Orders were changed. Fleet positions were altered. Supply convoys were sent to empty space. "Half their reinforcement fleet is lost in space right now," Tony explained to the command staff. "They think they're heading to Earth, but they're actually going to a system with no planets at all." The confusion in alien ranks was complete. Commanders received contradictory orders. Supply ships arrived at the wrong locations. Battle fleets attacked each other by mistake. But the biggest victory was yet to come. Captain Steve Morrison had expanded his Space Force into a real fleet. Using captured alien ships and hybrid human technology, he now commanded over 60 vessels. They were not as powerful as alien dreadnoughts, but they were fast and clever. "Today we make history," Steve told his captains during their final briefing. "Today we destroy their flagship." The alien command ship was in orbit around Earth, protected by a dozen smaller vessels. It was the most heavily defended target in the solar system. But Steve had a plan that used the aliens' own confidence against them. "Ghost Squadron will attack from the north," he explained. "That's a feint. While they're focused on that attack, Wolfpack will come in from the south using captured alien IFF codes. They'll think we're friendly ships until we're close enough to fire." Jenny Clark commanded Ghost Squadron now. Her 20 fighters would face impossible odds to give the main attack a chance. "Don't worry about us," she told Steve. "We'll keep them busy. You just make sure you blow up that ship." The battle began at dawn Earth time. Jenny's fighters attacked the alien escort ships with everything they had. The aliens responded exactly as predicted, moving to intercept the obvious threat. Left their flagship partially exposed. Steve's main force approached using stolen alien identification codes. The flagship's crew saw friendly ships on their sensors. They never suspected an enemy attack until it was too late. 12 human ships opened fire at point-blank range. The flagship, designed to fight enemies at long distance, could not defend. Against close-range attack, the explosion was visible from Earth's surface. The most powerful alien warship in the solar system became a cloud of glowing debris in seconds. The psychological impact was enormous. Alien forces across Earth saw their flagship die. Many commanders began considering retreat for the first time. But humans were not finished. Dr. Richard Stone had survived the destruction of his Colorado bunker and spent months developing new weapons. His latest creation combined human nuclear technology with alien power sources. "It's clean," he explained to a gathering of resistance leaders. "No radiation, no fallout. But the explosion is 10 times more powerful than our old nuclear weapons." 6 months after the conquest, Colonel Danny Walsh sat in a room that did not exist on any map. It was buried deep under the Appalachian Mountains, behind 3 feet of steel and concrete. This was the heart of human resistance, and Danny was its voice. He looked at the microphone in front of him and smiled. Today, the aliens were going to learn something new about humans. "Maria, are you ready?" he asked. Maria Gonzalez nodded from her seat at a wall of computers. She had been the best code breaker in the world before the war. Now she was something more. She was the key to the alien communication network. "I've got access to 17 different channels," Maria said. "Every major alien base, plus their fleet communications. When you talk, they'll all hear you." Danny picked up the microphone. Around him, other resistance members stopped their work to listen. They knew this moment would change everything. "To the Zeltharian Empire," Danny began. His voice was calm and steady. "You declared Earth conquered. You thought you had broken us, but we're just getting started." The message went out on every alien frequency at once. In command centers across Earth, alien officers stopped what they were doing and stared at their communication equipment in shock. But Danny was not finished. "We know where your ships are," he continued. "We know how many soldiers you have. We know about the supply convoy arriving next Tuesday and the new base you're building in Africa. We know because we're watching you. We're listening to you. We're learning from you." In the main alien command center in Washington, War Commander Zix Thala heard every word. His communication officer was frantically trying to cut the transmission. But nothing worked. "How are they doing this?" Zix Thala demanded. His aide had no answer. The human transmission was coming through their most secure channels. "It should have been impossible." Danny's voice continued. You've conquered 17 worlds before, Earth, but those species gave up after you beat their armies. We're not like them. We don't know how to quit. Every day you stay here, we get stronger. Every week, we learn more about your weaknesses. Every month, more of your soldiers die. The psychological impact was devastating. The aliens had never heard an enemy speak to them like this. In their previous conquests, the defeated species begged for mercy or tried to negotiate. But this human was making threats. And worse, he seemed to have the power to carry them out. You want to know how we broke your codes? Danny asked, as if he could read their minds. We studied your crashed ships. We questioned your prisoners. We watched your patrols and learned your patterns. We're humans. We adapt. We learn. We survive. The transmission ended, but the damage was done. Across the alien forces, soldiers looked at each other with new fear. How much did the humans really know? They were about to find out. Captain Steve Morrison crouched in the wreckage of the ESS Defiant. His brother Jake had commanded this ship before it was shot down in the first battle. Steve had been listed as dead for 6 months, but he was very much alive. Around him, 30 other humans worked to prepare their secret weapon. They had spent months gathering pieces of destroyed ships and building something new. It looked like junk, but it could fly and fight. How many ships do we have ready? Steve asked his engineer, a former NASA technician named Carol Wright. 12 fighters and 3 bombers, Carol replied. They're not pretty, but they work. The aliens won't see us coming because we're using their own stealth technology. Steve smiled. His brother would have been proud. The Morrison family had always been fighters. Load them up, Steve ordered. Tonight we hit their supply depot in orbit. The attack came without warning. The aliens had detected no human ships approaching their space station. Their sensors showed empty space right up. Until the moment the missiles hit, Steve's small fleet struck like lightning. They destroyed the supply depot, 2 patrol ships, and a communications relay before disappearing back into the darkness of space. On the surface, Ben Parker was running a different kind of operation. Before the war, he had worked for the CIA. Now he ran the largest spy network on Earth. His agents were everywhere. They worked in alien kitchens as servants. They cleaned alien buildings. They drove alien vehicles. The conquerors had become so confident that they barely noticed the humans around them. What do we have today? Ben asked his top agent, a woman named Linda Fox, who worked as a translator in the main alien command center. Big news, Linda said. They're planning to bring in more troops. A full battle fleet is coming from their home world. They're scared. Ben nodded. Fear was a weapon, and the humans were learning to use it well. But the most important development was happening in a secret laboratory under the ruins of MIT. Dr. Sarah Williams had made a discovery that would change the war. She had been studying captured alien soldiers for months, trying to understand how their bodies worked. What she found was better than any weapon. They have a critical weakness, she told her research team. It's in their inner ear. Certain sound frequencies can disrupt their balance completely. They become helpless. Her assistant, Dr. Frank Miller, looked at the test results. So we can stop them without killing them? Better than that, Sarah said with excitement. We can capture their equipment intact, and we can interrogate them while they're helpless. The resistance began building sonic weapons immediately. They were simple devices, modified speakers, that could produce the exact frequency that disabled alien soldiers. The first test came during a raid on an alien patrol. Lisa Hayes led her team through the sewers of New York until they found their target. 6 alien soldiers guarding a supply truck. Remember, aim the speakers at their heads, Lisa whispered to her team. 3 seconds of sound and they go down. The attack was perfect. The aliens never knew what hit them. One moment they were alert and ready for battle. The next moment they were lying on the ground, unable to stand or fight. Lisa's team captured the truck, the weapons, and all 6 soldiers. It was the first time humans had taken alien prisoners alive that the interrogation revealed information that shocked everyone. The Zeltharian Empire was not as strong as it seemed. They had stretched their forces thin across too many worlds. Earth was actually defended by less than half their normal conquest force. They're vulnerable, Ryan Davis told his commanders. If we can hold out long enough, they might have to choose between Earth and their other conquests. But the aliens were not giving up easily. War Commander Zix Thala had received permission to use more violent methods. He began executing human prisoners for every alien soldier killed by the resistance. The brutality only made humans angrier. More people joined the resistance every day. Farmers brought food. Teachers brought knowledge. Children carried messages. Even elderly people helped. By hiding weapons and supplies, Tony Garrett had expanded his electronic warfare capabilities. He could now not only listen to alien communications, but also send false messages. "Watch this," he told Kate Sullivan as he typed on his computer. He sent a fake order to an alien patrol, telling them to investigate a location that did not exist. Patrol spent 3 hours searching empty buildings, while a resistance team stole supplies from their unguarded base. "Can you do bigger things?" Kate asked. Tony grinned. "I'm working on something special. If it works, we can turn their own ships against each other." Jenny Clark's Air Force was growing too. She now commanded 23 hybrid fighters and had shot down over 40 alien aircraft. The aliens had started flying in larger groups because they were afraid to travel alone. "We're not just surviving anymore," she told her pilots during a briefing. "We're winning." 3 months had passed since the aliens took Earth. War Commander Zix Thala walked through his new command center in what used to be Washington, D.C. Everything seemed perfect. The humans in the camps were quiet. His mining operations were running smoothly. The planet was producing resources for the Empire. "Sir, the monthly report," his aide said, handing him a datapad. Zix Thala read it with satisfaction. 0 human attacks this week. All resistance groups eliminated. The conquest was complete, but he was wrong. Deep under the ruins of Chicago, Ryan Davis cleaned his rifle in the dark. He had been a Navy SEAL before the invasion. Now he was something new, the leader of the largest human resistance network on Earth. "How many cells do we have contact with now?" he asked Dr. Helen Carter. She was a physicist who had escaped from the camps 2 months ago. 47 groups across North America, Helen said. More in Europe and Asia. The alien jamming is strong, but we're getting through. Ryan nodded. The aliens thought they had destroyed all human communication. They were wrong. Humans were clever. They used old radio frequencies. They sent messages through hidden cables. They even used carrier pigeons. "What about the EMP weapons?" Ryan asked. Helen smiled. It was the first time she had smiled since the invasion. "I think we figured it out. The alien shields have a weakness. If we hit them with the right electromagnetic pulse, we can shut them down for about 30 seconds. 30 seconds, Ryan repeated. That's enough time to kill them. In Australia, Sam Turner was working in a hidden garage in the outback. Around him were pieces of alien technology that his team had stolen from crashed ships. Sam was a mechanic who could fix anything. Now he was learning to build weapons. "Hand me that power." "Sell," he said to his partner, Bill Harper. Bill had been a truck driver before the war. Now he was Sam's best scavenger. "This thing gives me the creeps," Bill said, looking at the glowing alien device. "What if it explodes?" "Then they'll be very dead, very quickly," Sam said. But he was careful. He had already lost 2 friends to alien technology that they did not understand. The weapon Sam was building looked like a human rocket launcher, but it fired alien energy bolts. It was ugly and dangerous, but it worked. They had tested it on an abandoned alien patrol vehicle last week. The vehicle had melted Dot in the Rocky Mountains. Jenny Clark was doing something that should have been impossible. She was flying Dot her fighter. Plane was a mix of human and alien technology. The engines were human-made, but they used alien power cells. The weapons were alien, but the targeting system was human. It looked strange, but it flew like a dream. "Control, this is Ghost One," she said into her radio. "I'm in position." "Copy, Ghost One," came the reply from a hidden base below. "Target is 2 miles ahead." Jenny could see the alien transport ship through her canopy. It was carrying supplies to their mining operation. Soon, it would be carrying nothing but scrap metal. She fired 2 missiles. They were human-built, but they used alien explosives. The transport ship disappeared in a ball of fire. "Target destroyed," Jenny reported, coming home. It was the first human victory in space since the invasion. It would not be the last dot all over Earth. The Resistance was preparing for something big. They had been planning for weeks. 17 targets. All hit at the same time. The aliens would finally learn that humans were still fighting. Ryan Davis gave the order at exactly midnight, Greenwich Mean Time. "All units, this is command. Execute Operation Payback." In New York, Lisa Hayes led her team out of the sewers. She had been hiding underground since the surrender, but she had never stopped fighting. Tonight, she was going to hit the alien power plant in Manhattan. "Remember," she told Pete Collins and Amy Rodriguez, "we hit fast and get out. The EMP will only work for 30 seconds. They reached the power plant just as the electromagnetic pulse hit. The alien shields flickered and died. Lisa's team rushed forward with their stolen alien weapons. The alien guards were confused. Their technology had never failed before. They did not know how to fight without their shields and energy weapons. Lisa's team destroyed the power plant in 15 minutes. Half of New York went dark dot in Los Angeles. Another team hit a communication center. In Miami, they destroyed a fuel depot. Across the world, resistance cells struck at alien bases, supply lines, and command posts. The aliens had never seen anything like it. In their previous conquests, the defeated species gave up completely. But humans were different. They adapted. They learned. They fought back. War Commander Zix Thala received the reports with growing alarm. 17 facilities destroyed in one night. 50 alien soldiers dead. Equipment worth millions of credits in ruins. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "We destroyed their military. We captured their leaders. We control their cities." His aide looked nervous. "Sir, it appears the humans have been organizing in secret. They're using our own technology against us." Zix Thala felt something he had never experienced before: doubt. Every species he had conquered before accepted defeat gracefully. They knew when they were beaten. But humans seemed incapable of understanding that they had lost. "Double the patrols," he ordered. "Search every building. Find these resistance groups and destroy them." But the humans were ready for that too. When the alien patrols came looking for them, they found empty hideouts and cold trails. The resistance had already moved to new locations. Tony Garrett was in one of those new locations, a cave system in the Appalachian Mountains. He was working on something that would change everything, a way to hack alien communications. "I think I've got it," he told Kate Sullivan. She was still treating wounded resistance fighters, but now she was also learning to fight. "You can break their codes?" Kate asked. "Better than that," Tony said with a grin. "I can listen to everything they say. And maybe If we're really lucky, I can make them hear things they don't want to hear. The breakthrough came when Dr. Helen Carter discovered something amazing about alien biology. She was studying a dead alien soldier that the Resistance had captured. They have a weakness, she told Ryan Davis. Sound, certain frequencies can hurt them, maybe even kill them. Ryan looked at the research data. You mean we can use sound as a weapon? Not just any sound, Helen explained. Very specific frequencies. If we can build the right equipment, we can turn their own communication systems against them. The Resistance was learning fast. Every day they grew stronger. Every week they hit more targets. The aliens tried to strike back, but humans were hard to find. They lived in places the aliens did not think to look. They moved at night. They struck without warning and disappeared like ghosts. Jenny Clark was flying more missions every week. Her little fleet of hybrid fighters was growing. Other pilots had joined her, former Air Force, Navy, even civilian pilots who wanted to fight back. We're going to hit their supply convoy today, she told her wingman, a former crop duster named Mike Thompson. Intelligence says they're carrying new shield generators. Copy that, Ghost Leader. Let's go ruin their day. The convoy of 6 alien ships never saw them coming. Jenny's fighters attacked from above, using the sun to hide their approach. Within minutes, all 6 ships were burning wreckage falling toward Earth. But the biggest victory was still to come. Tony Garrett had finally cracked the alien communication network. For the first time since the invasion, humans could hear everything. The aliens were saying to each other. What they heard changed everything. The aliens were scared. They were confused. They were calling for help from their home worlds. They had never faced an enemy like this before. They don't know how to fight. A guerrilla war. Ryan Davis told his commanders. Every other species they conquered just gave up. We're the first ones to keep fighting after we lost. Dr. Helen Carter had more good news. I've built the first sonic weapons. They work exactly like I thought they would. We can disable their soldiers without killing them. Why would we want to keep them alive? Pete Collins asked. Helen smiled. Because alive prisoners can tell us things, like where their main base is, and how many reinforcements are coming. The Resistance was no longer just fighting to survive. They were fighting to win. And for the first time since the invasion, that seemed possible. War Commander Zix Thala stood in his command center and looked at reports that made no sense. His forces were losing ground every day. Supply lines were cut. Bases were destroyed. His soldiers were afraid to patrol alone. The humans were supposed to be beaten. They were supposed to be grateful that the Empire had allowed them to live. Instead, they were becoming more dangerous every day. He opened a communication channel to the home worlds. It was time to ask for help. But as he began to speak, something impossible happened. A human voice came through the alien communication system. It was strong and clear and completely unafraid. To the Zeltharian Empire, the voice said, you think you've conquered us. You think we're beaten, but you're wrong. We're humans, and we're just getting started. The message ended, but Zix Thala stared at the communication device for a long time. How had humans broken into their most secure networks? What else could they do? For the first time since the invasion, the war commander wondered if he had made a terrible mistake. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship and watched the sky burn. The ESS Liberty shook as alien weapons hit the Earth's defenses. Outside the window, he could see hundreds of enemy ships. They looked like giant crystals floating in space. But they were deadly. Admiral, we've lost contact with the moon base, his officer said. The young man's voice was shaking. Jake had seen many battles, but nothing like this. The alien ships were huge. Each one was 10 times bigger than Jake's largest battleship. Their weapons turned Earth's satellites into dust in seconds. The space stations that took 50 years to build were gone in minutes. How many ships do they have? Jake asked. Over 300, sir. Maybe more coming. Jake closed his eyes for a moment. Earth's entire space fleet had only 47 ships. They were fighting an enemy they could not beat down on Earth's surface. Lisa Hayes crouched behind a broken wall in New York City. The buildings around her were on fire. Alien machines walked through the streets like metal giants. Each step made the ground shake. "Captain, we need to fall back," said Pete Collins. He was her best sergeant, and she trusted him with her life. Blood ran down his face from a cut on his forehead. "Not yet," Lisa said. She looked through her scope at the alien machine. It was 50 feet tall and had weapons on every arm. "Amy, can you hit that thing's legs?" Amy Rodriguez checked her explosives. She was the best bomb expert in the unit, but she looked scared. "I can try, but our weapons barely scratch them." The alien machine turned toward their hiding spot. Its red eyes scanned the rubble. Lisa held her breath. If it saw them, they were dead. "Everyone stay down," she whispered. The machine's weapon charged up with a high whining sound. Lisa knew that sound meant death. She had seen it kill dozens of her soldiers already, but then the machine moved away. It had bigger targets to hunt in. A bunker deep under Colorado, Dr. Richard Stone typed his last message to the world. His fingers shook as he wrote. Around him, other scientists packed up their most important research. "The communication array won't last much longer," said his assistant. "The aliens are jamming everything." Richard nodded. He had spent his whole life studying space. He always dreamed of meeting aliens, but not like this. Not as conquerors who wanted to destroy everything. He finished typing and hit send. The message went out to every human settlement in the solar system. It was simple. Earth has fallen. We fought with everything we had. Remember us. The power went out a few seconds. Later, the aliens had found their bunker. Back in space, Jake watched his fleet die. The Liberty was one of the last ships still fighting. Around him, the wreckage of human ships floated in the darkness. "Sir, we're getting a message from the enemy," his communications officer said. "Put it on screen." The alien that appeared looked like a tall, thin human, but its skin was gray, and its eyes were black. It wore armor that seemed to be made of the same crystal as their ships. "I am War Commander Zix Thala of the Zeltharian Empire," the alien said. Its voice was cold and emotionless. "You will surrender now. Your resistance is pointless." Jake stood up straight. Even facing death, he would not bow to these invaders. "This is Admiral Jake Morrison of the Earth Space Fleet. We will never surrender." The alien's face did not change. "Then you will die." The screen went black. A moment later, weapons fire surrounded the Liberty. Jake felt the ship breaking apart around him. "All hands, abandon ship," he ordered. It was the hardest command he had ever given. As escape pods launched from the dying ship, Jake took one last look at Earth. The beautiful blue planet was covered in smoke and fire. The aliens had won. On the surface, the fighting was ending. Human soldiers ran out of ammunition. Their tanks could not hurt the alien machines. One by one, the cities fell silent. Lisa Hayes found herself surrounded in Central Park. Her team was down to 5 people. "They had no way out. We gave them a good fight," Pete said. He reloaded his rifle, even though they both knew it was useless. "It's not over," Lisa said. But even she did not believe her own words. The alien machines formed a circle around them. Then they stopped. A new alien appeared, different from the others. This one looked like their leader. "You will come with us," it said in perfect English. "Resistance is over." Lisa dropped her weapon. She had no choice. Within hours, the last human military units surrendered. The aliens herded survivors into camps. They took away all human technology. They posted guards everywhere. War Commander Zix Tala stood on top of the ruined United Nations building. His soldiers had planted their flag there. Earth belonged to the Zalfarian Empire now. He had conquered 17 worlds before Earth. Each time, the process was the same. Overwhelming force, quick victory, total surrender. The defeated species always accepted their new reality. Humans seemed no different. They had fought hard, but now they were broken. His reports to the Empire would show another successful conquest, but Zix Thala did not see everything. In basements and sewers, in mountain caves and forest hideouts, small groups of humans were already planning. They gathered weapons the aliens had missed. They treated wounded soldiers in secret. They built hidden radios. Tony Garrett was an engineer who had worked on Earth's defense systems. He escaped the camps and found an abandoned subway tunnel. There, he met Kate Sullivan, a doctor who had been treating wounded civilians. "We can't fight their big ships," Tony said. "But maybe we can hurt them in other ways." Kate nodded. She had seen what the aliens did to prisoners who fought back. But she had also seen something else. The aliens did not understand humans very well. "They think we're beaten," she said. "Maybe that's our advantage." Other small groups were forming, all over the planet. Former soldiers, scientists, teachers, farmers. People who had lost everything but had not lost hope. The aliens celebrated their victory. They began mining Earth's resources. They built new bases. They prepared to move their own people to this new world. They did not know that their real war with humanity was just beginning. They had won the first battle, but humans were about to teach them something no other species ever had. Sometimes, declaring victory too early is the biggest mistake you can make.